Hello, welcome. I'm Katie Caruana, and this is the season finale of season 3, Unlearning, the stories we tell ourselves. And the final topic for this season is called The Challenge. Now, this might be the first time that you are joining one of my Lunch and Unlearn sessions, which is why I will just give you a short background to why I focus on this topic. And the reason is I'm really fascinated about the whole notion of unlearning. I'm fascinated because it takes time, it takes consideration, it takes effort and practice in order to stop doing things not serving you anymore and instead choose a different type of behavior. And also what I see in my daily work when I meet people who are in transition, people looking for maybe a new job or building a new type of career, or even starting their own business. Very often there is a lot of things to unlearn. And unless we are really conscious about what that is, we might struggle. We might not understand why we're not making progress towards the new end goal. So the whole notion around unlearning is to me extremely fascinating. And what I'm going to do today is to talk about the challenge. I'm going to address the challenge from an unlearning perspective. Maybe you will catch a new perspective, maybe 2 new perspectives, who knows? I will at least share 3 commonly, I would say, appearing, emerging notions around challenges and how we typically approach them. And I will then question whether that makes sense or not. And also I will try to share a few things from my own experience. Having said that, I will encourage you to think about things that are showing up for you. Maybe there will be some examples that are very close to you or somebody you know or care about. Or if not, pay attention to ideas popping up after this. You might be able to catch something that could lead to a new challenge in your life as well. The thing I want you to keep in mind as well during the next few minutes is what strikes you, what type of thoughts are showing up for you, what type of patterns, what type of reactions, what type of emotions may I cause when addressing this topic in this way. So pay attention to that and make a note to yourself in case something shows up. And be a bit curious about yourself. What stories are you telling yourself? Let's then go on discovery. And I promise that I will share 3 typical truths that I'm telling myself a lot, and I'm starting to address them in a more thoroughly way. There's so much to unlearn, and I've often stumbled upon 3 different things that seem to have prevented me in the past from actually unlearning effectively. Let's see if it makes sense to you. And the first one is this one. When unlearning something, and when I'm looking for a challenge, I should focus on one thing, one challenge at a time. I think we can all agree that when listening to gurus and listening to people who are really great at what they do and being great marketers and positioning themselves effectively in many, many matters, they are constantly talking about standing out, being focused, defining and claiming your own niche. And it does make a lot of sense. However, this specific notion has also some limitations to it, which has struck me over the last few months and even the full year. And I was actually looking to challenge myself in 3 different areas. And I thought, what if I were able to maybe combine those 3 things? And I try to encourage the people I work with as well to think in those terms, because sometimes you will slip. If you have only one thing, top of your head, you will slip and you will be discouraged, and then maybe you will be derailed and you won't come back. So my encouragement is actually to start looking for 2 or maybe 3 different challenges that might be able to make sense in a combined way. Now, in my case, my first challenge for this year was to share my passion for unlearning to a larger audience. This is season 3 of the Unlearning live stream series called Lunch and Unlearn. And I've been trying to use this format to reach a larger audience. And in addition to that, I also wanted to build skills and capabilities in running live stream sessions. I've been running webinars for many, many years, but live stream, when it's live, has a different notion to it. So I was looking to actually build some skills and get experience in that sense. Another challenge. The third challenge had some similarity to it, but it was more profound in terms of my personality, and it had to do with actually feeling more comfortable in front of the camera, not only behind the camera. Often I am coaching other people who are running their own webinars, or they are making recordings, or they are shooting videos. Now, how am I doing? How comfortable am I in front of the camera myself? So those were the three things I was looking to challenge myself about this year. Sharing my passion for unlearning to a wider audience, building live stream capabilities, and feeling more confident in front of the camera myself. Now, the next area where I sometimes stumble, but that I can address in different ways, the following. It's so difficult to collect proof of progress. We have tangible things that we can, of course, measure, and we can say, okay, I make progress in this space towards this challenge. But there are so many intangible results. There's so many intangible pieces of evidence that might be difficult to collect. And when it comes to the tangible ones, I would like to highlight, of course, the number of sessions that I've run this year. This is the third season of 8 episodes, so 24 episodes in total. It's also the volume, of course, of interactions with people who either attend live or look at or watch the recordings afterwards. And of course, I can count the number of likes and comments and so on, but very often the number of people attending live were not a large number of people. But beyond that, watching the replay, watching the recording, that had a different spread. And I was really encouraged to see that. So it was important for me to capture that. So it's not only the live audience, but more or less the majority of the viewers and the people who might benefit from this have been taking part of this afterwards. Of course, something that also could be measured in one way is my appearance, right? So my physical appearance, did anything change? A couple of things have changed because I've been following this intermittent fasting plan for the last 6 months or so. So through the last 2 seasons, and going back, watching the recordings, I can clearly see that something has happened as well physically. And another thing that happened that I didn't really pay attention to at first was that season 3 this year is actually the first time where I show up in something else than black. And again, this has to do with feeling more confident in front of the camera, but I didn't really set up a target or a goal for that. But I just noticed, looking back, that it was possible to collect proof of progress throughout the process, even though I didn't set my mind to it from the start. So I'm sure you can recognize this, that sometimes we discover things along the way. We didn't set out for ticking off this or that, but we discover things and then we pay attention to it and maybe convert that into a measurement that could be helpful. When it comes to the intangible results, I would say that one of my other ambitions was to make these live stream sessions quite simple, in a simple way. I wanted us to simplify the process. I wanted to have what I would say seamless and easy type of preparation. So I didn't prepare a lot. I prepared enough, I hope. And basically what happened throughout the season was that throughout season 1, I was a bit nervous. I had to find my way around it. I made a number of beginner mistakes, and then in season 2, I picked up. But there were still some things I needed to build on and develop further. And season 3 is by no means perfect. There have been different problems and connectivity issues and other things happening along the way. But the main change is that something that might not be tangible in a normal way is that I actually look much more forward to running these live stream sessions in season 3. So something has switched in terms of finding proof of progress. The final perspective that sometimes we stumble upon that might hinder us from actually assuming and feeling, that we make progress in terms of the challenge we set out for ourselves is the following. There are no-nos when involving others. And I believe that we all know that by involving other people, when we have a challenge, we will stay committed. We will maybe spark some interest. Maybe we will get some cheering. Maybe we will get some insights that are really helpful. So it pays off a lot to do things in public, involve people around you. Now, I've been extremely careful in my past in actually mixing the professional area of my life with my personal area of my life. And I never foresee that I, during this season, actually would start addressing things that did not have to do with what I do for a living. For instance, I've been sharing what I envision for myself in terms of having a healthier lifestyle, how to improve my health, and then also obtain other health benefits through that, of course. And just the notion of mixing those two in public on a platform with more than 600 million people was just foreign to me, and not that many months ago. So obviously, this is another space that we might have some self-inflicted restrictions, and we could actually maybe have a look at that and say, maybe it's possible to open up for involving people or becoming more publicly, I would say, committed. And when this has come up in different situations and people have asked me or so on, some people have reacted, some people have made a note of it, but they didn't really react. So a lot of these things are actually in my own head about the problem of being perceived in a certain way of sorry about that. And that would be another lesson learned for always having a glass of water when you run a live stream session. But I was going to say that it's really good to see that most people do not actually pay much attention to that. They will notice if you are sincere, if you're authentic, if you share something that they can relate to and that resonates with them. So having said that, that concludes the final point that I would like to make today. And I'm going to actually go through my seasons a little bit later this year to have another look at it, because I know, as always, when you listen to a recording, very often you will find something new, you will hear something new, or you can even hear some things that are not said. And I think that would be extremely helpful to me. And also, that's what I always suggest that the people I work with do as well. As long as we record meetings, they're able to go back and reflect about what's being said and what's being not said. The reflection here, I'll leave that to you in terms of, did anything of these spark something within you? How you assume a typical challenge? Do you stick to the niched approach, or can you see that you can actually combine them like I did? Can you also pay attention to the type of progress that you're able to measure and reward yourself in terms of getting closer to accomplishing what you are aiming for? And then finally, also, what are actually the payoffs in involving people around you, no matter if it's solely professional, solely personal, or maybe, like in my case, a mixture. So the best of luck for you on reflection. And if you want to learn more about Unlearning and the previous seasons with me, you're welcome to my website. It's called leaderinDemand.com. And you will also find other things that are related to leaders who want to stay in demand as leaders. Now, the big question is, will there be a season 4 of the Unlearning, Learn and Learn series? And I don't know yet. It could very well be in one way or the other. I will show up again on this topic. And I will be talking to people around me. I will be involving my audience to understand what could be of interest. So we find, if we go ahead with it, that we find the right type of focus and theme for the next season. So there could very well be a season 4, but until then, enjoy the unlearning. There's always something to unlearn, and I wish you the best of luck with that. Happy unlearning, and take care.